personal info for sale on the dark web. And Norton Security helps protect up to 5 devices from malware. Plus, if you have a problem, our agents will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or cybercrime or monitor all transactions in all businesses. But with LifeLock, we can help alert you to danger. Join now and get an additional 10% off your first year. Go to lifelock.com now and use promo code NEWS. That's promo code NEWS to save 10%. LifeLock with Norton. More detection, more protection.
The Peter Pit and Erickson Unlimited Productions presents Nashville recording artist Tim Montana and his band, the Shrednecks, Saturday, March 2nd at the Spur. Tickets are just $15, so get them now online at brownpapertickets.com or at the Spur. It's Tim Montana at the Spur, Saturday, March 2nd. Doors open at 7, music starts at 8. Tim Montana and the Shrednecks live in concert March 2nd at the Spur. Brought to you by the Peter Pit, Coors Light, and the Spur. Get more details online at brownpapertickets.com.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission. She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you organ donor? Yes, I am. My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to help, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.com. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Rich is just a really, really, really good guy. The term good egg isn't enough to describe him. He's also certified organic and free range. Rich puts the cap back on everything. The toothpaste, the olive oil, the shampoo, everything. He lets his 10-year-old nephew beat him at virtual tennis, even though he can straight up slay his 10-year-old nephew in virtual tennis. When the toilet paper is running low, Rich replaces the roll on the actual holder, not just on the back of the toilet. Rich is texting and driving. Rich, no. What are you doing, Rich? I was just telling everyone how great you are. Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
All the news you'll need in one place. This is KFAR Radio, 660 AM and 97.5 FM.
Glenn back.
So glad that you're here. We are going to go in depth on the Black Israelite Jews, or Hebrews. The Black Israelite Hebrews. They were the innocent Black people that were just being harassed by these Covington students. No, that's not. And there's no self-respecting New York news person that could ever report that, because these guys are on the streets of New York and they are vile and vicious.
I will say, though, isn't the Make America Great Again an attack in and of itself, right?
No, it's really not.
It's not, but it's
No,
red.
I know.
It's red.
I know. No, it's not.
You're listening to Glenn Beck.
What is your 2019 list? This New Year, before you make a generic resolution, make a generic one with 23 and me. Genes will tell you more than just your ancestors. They say a lot about your health as well. And with 23andMe's Health and Ancestry Kit, you can learn about your health, traits, ancestry, and so much more. We're talking more than 125 personalized insights. You can discover the connections between your DNA and your weight, how much you might move in your sleep, your caffeine consumption, your likelihood of being lactose intolerant, muscle composition, alcohol flush reaction, and so much more. And when it comes to your day-to-day living, your wellness reports can help you make informed decisions about healthy living. Buy your DNA kit now at 23andme.com/Beck. That's the number 23andme.com/Beck. Again, 23andme.com/Beck. Almost half of Americans make New Year's resolutions every single year. How about this one? Keep your home and your family safe. That's one we can keep. Simply Safe Home Security is making this so much easier with 24/7 home security with no contracts and no catches. They believe the safest place on earth should be your home. So feel protected every time you shut that door, you leave for work, or you shut your eyes at night. More than 3 million people already feel this way thanks to Simply Safe. And my family is one of them. The folks at PC Magazine named Simply Safe both Editor's Choice and Reader's Choice for 2018. So 2019 is a great time to ask yourself, am I protecting the things that I've worked so hard for? If you're thinking, well, maybe it's time to change that, simplysafebeck.com. Get 10% off your home security system today. Save a buttload of money at simplysafebeck.com. simplysafebeck.com.
Jays have 6, count of 6 Ram 2018 Classic. From 12,500 in combined offers on select models or finance for 0% APR OAC for 36 months. Get into James.
Almost 20 pro-democracy demonstrators killed after troops back in Nicholas Maduro opened fire. The protest followed what the U.S. describes as sham elections. Russia's UN ambassador Vasilina Benzia speaking for a translator.
Showing up though. Yeah, I was not doing
ordering U.S. diplomats out of the country. But since we no longer consider him legitimate, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says they're staying and
do not test the United States on our resolve to protect our own people.
UN calling for restraint. He now faces 24 charges, including witness tampering and rights. President Trump's longtime friend, political activist Roger Stone, telling Fox's Tucker Carlson he is innocent. This indictment is the longest government shutdown in history now. This is Fox News.
Fox Nation is the place for exclusive content you can't get anywhere else. New opinion shows from Laura Ingram, Tucker Carlson, and Tommy Lahren you can only get by signing up for Fox Nation. Plus, the real stories behind the headlines, documentaries on Chappaquiddick, Jimmy Hoffa, and more that you'll only find on Fox Nation. More of the opinion done right you crave, it's on Fox Nation. Documentaries and specials you can't get anywhere else, they're on Fox Nation. So go to foxnation.com today and sign up now for Fox Nation. Opinion done right now.
Shepard Smith. There's so many streams of information coming. Some are designed to distract you and to mislead you. When news is breaking, you have to slow down. We have to begin with what's most important. I'm here to find out what happened, to report it without fear or favor, in context and perspective, and to be honest, brutally honest about every bit of it. We work endless hours to make sure that when we deliver it to you as fact, it's a fact.
Shepard Smith on Fox News Channel. Real news, real honest opinion.
At a town hall meeting this morning in his Iowa district,
The left is policing our language.
Republican Congressman Steve King claiming he was misquoted in that New York Times article that portrayed him as racist. House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy stripped him of his committee assignment. King urging
Trying to figure it out,
constituents
Yeah, get the back of my face. No, we're not getting any of your face. Dang it.
Where's it at? Oh, about there.
The Patriots inspired the science project. One player in particular,
10-year-old Ace Davis, John Barrow for the first place science project involving Patriots quarterback Tom Brady. The project claims that Brady cheated during the 2015 Deflategate scandal. Brady was suspended the following season for 4 games, using limited balls, 5, 7, 9 pounds. Davis found that. Brady and the Patriots, who will take on the Rams next Sunday at Super Bowl 53, have yet to respond to the project. Tommy Burns, Fox News.
and her U.S. Open win was not a fluke. Japan's Naomi Osaka wins the Australian Open. Now back to Jay Metzler. This is Fox News.
There's nothing small about your business. Your passion, your hours, your reputation, it's all huge. Your partnerships, even bigger. With Dell Small Business Technology Advisors, you'll get the tech, advice, and one-on-one partnership to help your business grow. Because with reliable Dell PCs with Intel Core processors, you can focus on what matters most, getting business done. Call 877-BUY-DELL to speak with an advisor today. That's 877-BUY-DELL.
Oh, I should have brought some tape.
You are up and out
I am
every
not
day, so
quarter
you don't want
to
something like
there.
Medicare Part D to slow you down. At Walgreens, we'll take care of your Medicare Part D prescriptions, saving you time and money. Make the switch to Walgreens today and get more by earning $100 reward points and save up to $5 on each Medicare Part D prescription when Walgreens is your preferred pharmacy. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Prescription savings applies to tier 1 generics when you fill a preferred versus a non-preferred pharmacy on select plans. Points can't be earned in New York, New Jersey, or Arkansas. Other restrictions and limitations apply.
Hello, this is your secretary. Today it's a sad story. People do not care for me. They send me things. Every day they send me things. I do not want. I can small. I can do it all. So I send it all back. Except for very nice diamond ring and hundreds call every night. I will keep them. The rest is all going back. And they will be very sorry if they did not take care of me.
Call the Bigfoot with the helping hand. Bigfoot hunting and drawing. Call them before your septic tank calls you. The Peter Pan and Erickson Unlimited Productions presents Nashville recording artist Tim Montana and his band, the Shrednecks, Saturday, March 2nd at the Spur. Tickets are just $15, so get them now online at brownpapertickets.com or at the Spur. It's Tim Montana at the Spur, Saturday, March 2nd. Doors open at 7, music starts at 8. Tim Montana.
Everyone is a just government, which impartially supports everyone that our government is on. There is not a just government, nor is properly secure under it. There are arbitrary restrictions, exceptions, and monopolies to make part of its citizens that free use of their own faculties.
The meeting Syria are judged to be required to accept the view of the law against the unconstitutional
Looking pretty good.
What you reduce them to slavery, their arbitrary power, they put themselves into a state of war with people, for thereupon the song, and then so they'll be.
Oh, yeah.
absurd to extenuate the matter. Gentlemen may cry, peace, peace, but there is no peace. The war is actually begun. The next gale that sweeps from the north will bring to our ears the crash of resounding arms. Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand we here idle? What is it that gentlemen wish? What would they have? Is life so dear, or peace so sweet, as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but for me, give me liberty, or give me death.
My people perish for the lack of knowledge. God,
All right, welcome to Patriots in a minute. We're back to dumb. Yes. Oh, there we go. Maybe that works. Can you hear me, Mike?
Yeah, there you are.
Oh, there we are.
I got a hum in the background though.
Yeah. Well, I can't turn that down. All right, let's just get on with it. Apparently, our audio is not working again. Mr. Giesel, you there? Yeah, we can hear you, but I don't know if it's going. I don't understand why I'm plugged everything into the stupid computer. It should be working. That's stupid.
But it's increased recently, and it's, you know, we've had the best as far as consumer confidence. I think it's the best in 13 years. That's what I read somewhere. But yeah, the, you know, velocity of money, people hoarding cash. But if you have a business and you make money and you don't spend it on something, you have to count it as profit, and then you have to pay taxes on it.
Mhm. But I mean, how do you? So you constantly have to reinvest, per se,
Right.
in your company,
Mm-hmm.
right? Right. Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, I was thinking about that, as far as equipment specifically. And I was thinking, well, you know, if you buy equipment or something, so you exchange your dollars, your cash, for a piece of equipment. That piece of equipment, eventually, the value of it, usually because it's, you know, machinery, the value goes down. So I was thinking, well, you know, still would like to have cash. And then I thought, well, actually, it's the same as cash. The things that cash can buy goes down every year also. So you're really, there's not a whole lot of difference in that, except like you said, it is a lot easier to take cash down to buy a new couch than take a side dump down and say, hey, you want to swap?
Yeah.
But besides those things, it's
Yeah, it is a structure that tries to promote spending money to keep the economy hot rather than saving.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, to keep the velocity up. Right.
Yeah. Well, is oh snap! I like weeds. Get in there. Well, that is what money is. I mean, we've talked about that. It was just a thing of instead of packing around your cart full of hay and trying to trade your hay for this or that, money is just that. Come on. Right. Mm-hmm. Anything. Yeah. So, what are you guys' personal thoughts on the government, this United States government in particular, spending and all that kind of stuff, where the debt ratio, blah blah blah, and the $22 trillion in debt? Does it ever play a factor? I mean, I've always was raised up thinking, well, it can't go on forever. Sometimes the plug's got to get pulled. But does it even matter?
No, probably not. We've always heard debt could be at $1 trillion. They're talking about it being unsustainable, and they're talking about it 10 trillion. They just keep talking about it. It just keeps going up. As far as paying the debt off, that's not going to happen. Governments never pay their debts. Governments never pay their debts off.
All right, how many times have we talked about the French and Indian Wars still being paid by the British subjects over there?
Yeah. I mean, I don't, let's see.
Nearly 300 years ago. They're still paying the interest on it.
Well, I think the government did pay its debt off. The U.S. government did pay its debt off before the Civil War, but then it went into debt again.
Right, there was a time, huh? Isn't that amazing?
I think that's the only example in history.
You have to reach back 170 years.
The government's always default. They never pay it back.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's when there's a lot. You can't, when there's no bid for the bond market anymore. You can't sell your promises anymore.
Well, it is interesting. The Federal Reserve, at least from what I was reading, and you can't believe anything when they're talking about financial stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying that the Federal Reserve is actually selling bonds again instead of buying them, and trying to sell off the bonds that it purchased. But,
right. Yeah. See, and they're just swapping. That happened during QE. What they did is they would exchange, like they exchanged for example, China. With China, the China dumped or sold off their 30-year bonds and just exchanged them for shorter term bonds, 10 years or something. But so, while the Federal Reserve bought up those 30-year notes, they were still exchanging it. They're just exchanging them for something else. So that's why you didn't see any kind of any currency inflation. Was while they were buying up the bonds that they had issued, they were just exchanging it for something else.
Right.
In case of the banks, they would buy up the bonds that they held. Then they just gave them cash in return. Since cash is debt, I mean money is debt now. It's the same thing. So you get a bond, you give them the same debt in another form, interest free. In that case, the banks were upset that they weren't getting interest, so the Federal Reserve handed them a few $1 trillion worth of cash, and then they just pocketed it and put it in their reserve account.
Right.
So it never went into the economy. But that's the game that's played with government. The whole system is designed so that it's they never intend to pay it back for one, and then when they need more money, they just issue some more bonds and swap it for cash. So there's there's no end to it. It's kind of who's left standing last. Well, once they can no longer pay the interest, the interest is kind of the key there.
Right.
So,
and what is a manageable interest for them? I think 5%'s game over, right?
Well, right now, I think it's this year. There's the budget to pay off the interest is more than the military budget.
Oh, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. It's like $6.5 trillion, or sorry, $6.5 billion per week in interest. So, which is more than they're requesting for the wall. It's kind of funny with the wall debate. Trump wants $5 billion for the wall, and it ends up being a big argument and
it's actually a
month long shutdown. But it's actually less than one week's worth of interest.
Right. $5 billion. Whippy doopy doo. And come on, you guys can pull that out of your sock drawer. We'll pull it over into the. I really want to get into it in the next hour because does it really matter? And the reason I say that is I was listening to I admitted a sports show because the Patriots kicked the Chiefs' butt. Boom, baby, we're going back to the Super Bowl again. And anyway, so this guy, he was going to the airport to fly to Atlanta for the Super Bowl or whatever, or he had flown already, whatever. And he was like, and the TSA thing, the airports are just a mess. The TSA, half the people aren't there, so it took us forever and longer, blah, blah, blah. And of course, I was, in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, well, let the airport security do it, and we'll have to worry about government shutdowns. But then he goes, and these guys are fighting over whether, the State of the Union address and blah, blah, blah. And he said, it's so stupid because, America's on fire. It's burning down. And the reference was because of the government shutdown. Yeah. And while I was listening to it, I was driving down the Richardson Highway, and I looked around to the left, looked around to the right, looked behind me. I didn't see any fires anywhere. Nope. And I thought the last 36 days or whatever it's been, let's see, we've had Christmas, I had a birthday, my son had a birthday. We had friends over, we had get-togethers, went to work, had business meetings, read into some books, had the show several times, and I thought, what a dumb response. America's not burning. The country's not burning down. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what I want to get to. I jumped again, but what I want to get into on the next hour is whether this stuff really matters. Or does it have to matter? Of course, if there was just a government with the dollar, there would be some bumps in the road of figuring out this and that. But obviously, and now I'm just going into it and I'm on to wait. So, and also, Dave, I want to, in the next hour, get into some of what we were talking about on the email there with alternatives and things like that. What does the normal person do? I think about this, on the kids' quotes there that we've listened to thousands of times or whatever. I've listened to it hundreds of thousands. The very last quote there is a verse. It's God speaking. My people perish for lack of knowledge, and that's so true. Unfortunately, we think that we have history and historical happenings that we can look back on and say, aha, Well, let's not repeat that mistake. Let's not repeat that mistake. And so we have historical backgrounds we can look at that should help us for future, right? It's his story. And we have my mind blank, so I looked at something. So we have history we can look back, and we also know that, you know, repeating history and expecting a different outcome doesn't work out very well. But we also have knowledge of what should be better, what could be better, what actual, you have your nonsense that's in the news, you have your nonsense that's in mainstream media, nonsense coming from the government.